Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Robert Meyer Burnett.
I am so excited to be here today. I just don't know why, John.
There's a number of big things for us to talk about here today, because most importantly, too, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show is the most important part, where we take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to be discussed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link right now at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to this show a little bit later on a podcast, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode, provided we deem your question or topic appropriate to be addressed on the show. All right. A couple of things I want to get knocked off here, a little bit of housekeeping before we move on with our topics today. First of all, tomorrow, that is Wednesday, at 6 p.m. Los Angeles time, you can figure out what that is in your time zone, we are going to be doing a YouTube premiere of our documentary, Movie Trailers, A Love Story. We're going to be streaming it. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be one of those virtual premieres. I will be in the live chat talking it up with you guys. Our editor and cinematographer, Jonathan Voico, is going to be in there.
Be present.
Our associate producer, who's also in the film itself, Robert Meyer Burnett.
I'm going to be rocking that chat. It's going to be great.
And we hope that you guys will come and join us for it as we talk about the world of movies. It's a documentary, for those you don't know, about the history of movie trailers and their place in the world today. And I'm looking forward to you guys joining us for that. Also, just a little bit of an update of course, we've started our movie meetups. We did our first one out in the Phoenix area the other night. Overwhelmed by how many of you guys came out. It was an absolute blast. I loved it. We're doing our next one this Friday at the San Diego Mission Valley 20 for a screening of The 40-Year-Old Virgin, my all-time favorite comedy. But I looked at the site today and it is now completely sold out. So there's that. Now, we also mentioned yesterday we have 4 upcoming ones in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a lot of driving, but 4 nights back to back to back to back. Thursday, September the 11th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Friday, September 12th in Denver, Colorado. Saturday, September 13th in Salt Lake City, Utah. And Sunday, September 14th in Las Vegas. Now, you'll notice that in all of these ones, we've got theater, movie, and time to be announced. Well, we've got one of them now. For our Salt Lake City, Utah meetup on Saturday, September 13th, we are going to see Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, which is playing in that
and it's
theater.
the extended version.
And it's the extended version. It's going to be at the Megaplex Gateway in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that is, again, going to be Saturday, September the 13th at the Megaplex Gateway. I believe the movie is at 6:10 p.m. Utah time, Salt Lake City time. So we're going to be meeting up there. Now, last night, early this morning, I went and they hadn't sold any tickets yet for it. So I put up just a little post this morning in our community tab. And as of right, well, look, they've started selling tickets. So there's, as you can see, unlike San Diego on Friday, which is now sold out, there are still plenty of tickets. So if you are out there, September 13th, we're going to go see it. And I hope to see many of you guys there.
What an interesting layout for seats.
It is. I mean, especially when you look at the screen, like this, the aisle does not match the center of the screen.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
You know why? Because it was split into 2. I bet it's got a theater right next door to it, and it used to be a bigger theater, and they split it down the middle.
Oh.
With a wall.
So that's probably exactly why it is. I'll let you know once I go in there and take a look at it. And we will be announcing the actual movies and theaters and start times of our Albuquerque, Denver, and Las Vegas ones very soon. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right, guys. All that down. Let's get on to the real stuff here, shall we? We're going to start off with this. You know, for a guy that doesn't even like the movie Kpop Demon Hunter all that much, I do talk a lot about it because I'm amazed by a couple of things. Number one, I am obsessed with the music, and I have to fully admit I love the music of the movie. I really do. I do catch myself when I'm scrolling through YouTube stopping off and watching one of the several music videos every now and again. Still, I love the music in it. I do. But the second thing is I'm fascinated by the success of the film and how much it has become just this like huge pop cultural, you know, touchstone that is really that everybody's now seen and everybody talks about. And even though I don't actually think the movie's all that good, but still, there are a lot of people who do, and a lot of people who are loving it. Now, Sony is the studio behind it. Listen, Sony Animation has been killing it, guys. Between this movie, the Spider-Verse movies, Mitchell's versus the Machines, which was way good and way under, like not enough people have seen it. It's really good. Sony Animation has been kind of killing it. So you'd think that, woo, big windfall for Sony. Well, here's the catch. You may have seen a headline going around that Sony has only made $20 million on Kpop Demon Hunter. Now, the reports you guys see going around, a number of them are not quite accurate because a number of the stories I've read, and even some of the bigger trades, like not the Hollywood Reporter and Variety, but some of the bigger fan sites, have been misrepresenting what's been going on, saying that Sony made the movie and then just sold it to Netflix for $20 million. That's not what happened. Okay, just to be clear, I even saw some people in our own live chat today saying that. That is not what happened. Here's what happened with Kpop Demon Hunters. Sony had this movie and that they were going to make, and they decided it probably wasn't something that might succeed in theaters. Listen, to be honest, nobody thought Kpop Demon Hunters was going to be this big. Absolutely nobody in the world thought it was going to be this big. So they did get an offer to partner up with Netflix. Now, here's what most people think. Most people think that Sony made the movie and then shopped it around and sold it. They did not. Actually, Netflix paid for the vast majority of the production of the film. Sony made it, but Netflix paid the bill. At least the vast majority of it.
Yeah, Netflix just bought the idea from Sony, it says here.
Yeah, and Sony produced it. They made it. But Netflix paid all the bills, at least the vast majority of them. This comes from the folks over at Slasho. I'm going to read this a little bit at length because I think it's important to understand the information here. On the one hand, Sony Pictures should be happy because they have arguably the biggest hit movie of the summer on their hands. No, we're not talking about Lilo and Stitch or even Superman. We're talking about Kpop Demon Hunters, which has been tearing it up on Netflix streaming charts. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys. Tearing it up on Netflix streaming charts for weeks. On the other hand, as mentioned, all of his success is falling on Netflix's shoulders, with Sony getting a surprisingly small fee, relatively speaking, for generating such a massive hit. According to Puck News, that's Matt Bellani's outlet, even though director Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans, I hope I'm saying that right, Kpop Demon Hunters originated at Sony Pictures as an original idea from the studio, they are getting just $20 million with Netflix under no obligation to pay any additional royalties. Thanks to the deal between the studio and the streamer, Netflix shoulders the lion's share of the $100 million production budget. Sony got cold feet and feared the big bet might not pay off if they were to have released it in theaters. Okay. I get that everybody's first reaction is, wow, Sony really screwed up. There's a couple things to keep in mind here. Hindsight is 2020. And I think, what happens is when a production company 9 times out of 10 makes a deal like this, it ends up being a very wise deal. It ends up being very smart because Sony guaranteed that they were going to make profit on this project. If they put it out in theaters and all that kind of stuff, no, they might lose money. Here, they guaranteed they got a profit. And again, I need to reemphasize this. Nobody in the world thought K-pop Demon Hunters was going to be this big. Nobody did.
Well, Netflix did.
Well, Netflix throws money around at a lot of things.
No, they
that
do,
don't end up being
But they
big.
liked the idea.
Yes. And
But they were
willing,
never going to put it in theaters.
No, and they were never going to put it in theaters, but they stepped in and paid most of it. So you got to understand, Sony, on an untested, unproven, questionable project, made a deal that guaranteed them $20 million on like
free money.
By the way, from what I understand, that's not just $20 million and then you got to minus whatever money they put in the production.
No.
From my understanding, it's $20 million after their expenses had been
Right.
covered. It was a profitable movie for them. Also want to remind you guys, to Rob's point, Netflix has put up a lot of money on a lot of projects that have done nothing. What's the recent Russo brothers movie they did?
Electric State.
Electric State is a great example of that. They put up all this money.
$300 million.
Did nothing for them. Also, I want to point this out. How much money do you think Netflix has made with K-pop? Let me ask you this question. If you watch K-pop Demon Hunters, how much money did you pay to watch it? Oh, nothing?
Yeah.
Because you already were a subscriber to Netflix? Here's the other question. To some people who may say, well, yeah, but now Netflix has that ad-supported level. True. And I think that's going to pay off for Netflix big time down the road. It is. Do you know, according to a report in Reuters, only about 1 out of every 3 people who are on Netflix actually have the ad-supported tier. It's a growing number. It is. And like I said, I think that's going to pay off for Netflix a lot down the road for people dumb enough to just use the ad-supported tier. But I don't understand why you would pay money for a service and accept having ads.
Also,
Anyway,
it's a lower tier of
you get lower streaming quality. You
Yeah.
get fewer options.
You'll get
Anyway,
4K.
that's another discussion for another time. But all that is to say that it is a little bit surprising to see what's Sony. Now, remember, Sony gets first dibs on any sequels, whatever. They will be the production company unless they refuse to do it. And they'll get to renegotiate with each individual film, but they'll never make another penny off this original big hit. And you know how things go. Sometimes you have one big hit movie and you think it's going to be a franchise, and then you do the next one and nothing comes out of it. So maybe this will be it for them. So I understand it's totally shocking to see the number. I get it. And they did miss out on this one. But Rob, 8, 9 times out of 10, these are a pretty wise hedging of your bets. It guaranteed they made profit. It is just funny to see this. But Rob, you know, we were talking the other day. I think we're going to have to do a conversation sometime this week or next week about, hey, is Sony becoming the major player in the world of animation right now? Again, you look at things like the Spider-Verse films, K-pop, things like that. How big of a deal is this for Sony Animation? How big of a player are they becoming here? And is there anything about this story about the money they got or didn't get that really stands out to you?
I mean, I have questions in the sense that they say Sony got cold feet and feared the big bet might not pay off. So somebody brought the project, if the directors came up with the project, came to Sony and said, look, we have this thing. Maybe Sony developed it internally with the directors, and they decided for whatever reason not to move forward. And I can understand K-pop Demon Hunters. You know, it's one thing, like if they were going to make it a big theatrical movie, that's a big leap.
Huge leap.
That's a big leap for people at Sony to be like, what? Like,
and alone covering the $100 million production cost.
Right.
So they would be sinking all that money.
Yeah, and they're wondering, that's a lot of money. So they had this project that they developed internally that they decided they didn't want to take a bet on. Netflix comes along and says, look, animation does well for us. I mean, I worked on, Dota Dragon's Blood, Ashley's series. I edited 3 seasons of that. Arcane. They've got all these things out that are doing well. Demon Slayer is a huge.
By the way, was Sony behind the Arcane series?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm not sure.
But,
I don't know. I honestly.
But yeah, but I'm just saying that these are now animated franchises that are doing very, very well, and I would say that this is a little out there. If you're not a K-pop fan, you don't know BTS, you don't know Blackpink, you don't know a number of these bands. It's a big ask to spend $100 million. Netflix is like, well, we do well with this kind of animation. We'll give you $100 million. We'll make it, and we'll give you $20 million for the idea or whatever. That's natural, totally normal thing. What's interesting though is that this is the point where Sony could have said, we would like a theatrical window. You know, if you're going to make it, we're going to partner up. You're going to buy our idea. We're going to look at it and either get a right of first refusal to put it in theaters, or we're going to put it in theaters for you. You know, it'll be a Netflix co-production and Sony will release it. They could have made that deal, but they just didn't have faith. If they were going to make that deal, they probably would have made the movie themselves in the first place, but they could have. They could have made some kind of a theatrical. They just went their merry way. What's really interesting about this is the fact that, as you just pointed out, this movie it's closing in on 200 million views.
It's about 184 right now, I think is the number. Yeah.
They made no money on those views. Now they'll make money on ancillary things. Maybe they'll merchandise the hell out of it. Obviously, the soundtrack album is burning up the charts. I don't know how much money they're making from that. But
it is burning up the charts. I mean,
yeah,
they got to be making some money on that.
Totally. But I mean, you know, a million or a billion Spotify streams pay at 20 cents. You know, who knows? But the point is that this could have been, even if Netflix had decided to release it, if it became, I mean, the thing that Netflix has going for it that theatrical releases don't have is immediately any kid in the world that subscribes to Netflix, a thing that comes up that says K-pop Demon Hunters, oh, I'll watch that. So they have immediate access to all of these eyeballs that are just looking to watch animation, which is a theatrical release of a movie like this. You would have had to market the hell out of it. So that audience that's right there clicking on Netflix, oh, I want to watch that, will even know it's out there. Because K-pop Demon Hunters is not something that audience would even be looking for as coming out in theaters. So even if it was coming out with a good marketing budget, your core audience might not have known it was coming. So I don't think a movie like this would have necessarily been theatrically viable because no one knew it. But in a week, as you saw on Netflix, the whole audience exploded for this. They all knew it was there, and they're watching it over and over and over again. So it's a phenomenon. The question is, what are they going to do with it now? If they make a second one, does it go theatrical? Does Sony say, oh, we've got 200 million views, we're going to put it out theatrical with a big marketing budget?
They don't have the right to do that. Netflix controls the property now.
They gave it all away. But maybe they could make some deal, or maybe there's a right of first refusal on a sequel. I don't know what the deal looks like. But I think this is an example of, it's both what Netflix wants, but it's also people are losing out. But the problem is it's speculative. We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
The big thing to me and all this is, I don't know how well it would have done in theaters.
I don't either. I don't think it would.
But I do know this. I do believe it would have had an even bigger launch on streaming afterwards had it had a theatrical release first. It would have like, it might have been one of those films that just blew up in theaters and made them $600-700 million, or maybe $200 or $300 million or whatever. But then with the backing of a global ad campaign, then it dropped on Netflix. I think it would have been even bigger on streaming than it is now.
I totally agree with you. And the thing is, what's fascinating, and I've never seen a study on this, when something that becomes phenomenal, whether it's like Suits, where 9 seasons of Suits go up and becomes a #1 streaming thing, once it comes on your Netflix, whatever, if it's in your analytics and it pops up, immediately the globe, the world has access to this, like simultaneously. And friends, oh my God, I just watched, you have to watch K-pop Demon Hunters, let's watch it together, blah, blah, blah. And I think it can happen immediately. Like if something goes up, I mean, with theatrical, people have to know it came out in the theaters. There's a lot of movies that come out, people don't even know they came out because they haven't seen the marketing. But with Netflix, it's its own marketing. It goes up, it's available, people click and watch. What is the difference between something like that as opposed to something theatrical that does very well? Can you compare and contrast that? Because it would tell us a lot about if streaming is a viable business.
And well, I mean, Netflix has proven they're making a lot of money, but it's taken a long time for them to get to that point.
Right, but they don't make dollars off each view.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It is funny when you look at how big of a global phenomenon K-pop Demon Hunters come that Sony got $20 million out of it. It's actually not that uncommon, but it is kind of striking to hear that. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guy. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Peacemaker Season 2. When does it debut? Jonathan, can you look that up for me?
Yeah.
It's within the week.
Yeah. Is it Thursday?
Is it this Thursday? Oh my God, if it's this Thursday, I know what I'm doing Thursday if it is. But Peacemaker season 2 is upon us, right? It's coming out now.
Yeah, August 21st.
It's August 21st. And so, yeah, that's on Thursday. So we talked last week or earlier this, I can't remember. Yeah, last week, I think it was, that I heard from a couple of people inside that saw it and just raved about it. Well, forget about little secret insiders now. The full reviews for season 2 of Peacemaker are now out. And it's sitting at 98%. 98% with one outlet not liking it. And even them not liking it didn't dislike it all that much. Let's go over and take a look. We're going to go over to Rotten Tomatoes here. Let's see what some people are saying about it. Geek Vibes Nation wrote, "It's a confident re-up for the gun is saving DC crowd, as well as a reminder of what the lesser-known characters in this universe can bring to the small screen." Haven of Horror writes, "As it's customary, each episode is absolutely crazy, whether in physical ways, all sorts of ways, or in the more emotional, tugging at your heartstrings ways. I enjoy both and cannot get enough." Double Toasted wrote, "Season 2 of Peacemaker is more personal. The characters deal with issues that humanize them." Telltale TV wrote, "Peacemaker Season 2 still packs a punch, confidently delivering its narrative of belonging while exemplifying the DCU's eccentricisms and Gunn's punk rock vulgarity." Then we come to the one outlet that didn't like it, Slant Magazine. And their thing wasn't so scathing. It wrote, "The series may admirably connect the dots, but the results are patchy." Fair enough. That's not all that negative. I think it's fair enough. All right, comicbook.com loved it. They wrote, "Peacemaker Season 2 has the same flood of heart as Superman, is another excellent exercise in world building, and by virtue of feeling more like a pure expression of Gunn as a creator, I'd confidently say it's the better of the two." Zach Pope wrote, "Peacemaker Season 2 is just awesome once again. Absurd, kick-ass, bloody, and of course hilarious. While fully cementing itself in the DCU with what is canon from the DCEU, it blends nicely all together." That's what I'm really looking forward to finding out myself, is how they're going to be doing all. That's the one part that I still have a question mark in my head about. Screen Rant liked it, saying, "Peacemaker Season 2 recaptures everything that made Season 1 so special, but it tells a whole new story with a surprisingly great multiversal twist." Tessa Smith from Movie Phone wrote, "Peacemaker Season 2 tackles the transition from the DCEU to the DCU brilliantly, while still being sure to deliver the same wacky yet emotional vibes." It just goes on. Like, everybody seemed to... by the way, I really liked Empire Magazines. They wrote, "Anchored by great work from John Cena, Peacemaker's second season raises its already high bar with a well-judged blend of heart, madness, and an ass-kicking eagle." By the way, one of my favorite moments in the trailers is when Eagly comes in with a human finger, and Peacemaker says, "I'm going to pretend you just found that." I don't know why. I love that line so much. Listen, just to kind of go back and recap this whole thing, I did not like the looks of Peacemaker Season 1. When they announced it, I said, dumb idea. When I saw the first trailer for it, I thought, this is going to suck. I mean, I love James Gunn. I've never disliked anything James Gunn has ever done, but this looks like it's going to be the first thing I don't like from James Gunn. And then I watched it, and it blew me away from episode 1 and became what I declared to be the best television show DC had ever produced. All due respect to Arrow, which I loved, and Flash and Smallville and all that kind of stuff. Until Penguin came along, when that changed things, I said Peacemaker Season 1, I think, is the best thing DC's ever done. I had to totally change my tune. And I have been so excited for this season. But you know what? It doesn't matter how good the first thing is and how excited you are till you actually start seeing the full reactions from other people. And it looks like people are loving it. I cannot wait for this Thursday. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing all the reactions coming out of it. Right now, holding a 98%. What's standing out to you?
Just everyone's excitement. I'm so there for this. I mean, it looks great. The trailer, that Red Band trailer was hilarious. I really love Peacemaker Season 2 like you, or Peacemaker Season 1 like you did. And, I really want to see where this goes. And again, like what everybody's saying about, we know it's extending the universe that was established in Superman We know that we're getting the Justice Gang back, and I'm really curious. We know that James Gunn says there's big cameos, and clearly the people who've seen it are responding to it. So I'm fascinated by where they're going to take this universe, because that's where they're going. Is they're taking like they just said in one of those reviews, they're going to establish the DC universe and tell us where they're going. So I love the fact that in a way, kind of like Penguin, we're getting a de facto Superman sequel out of Peacemaker 2.
Well, James Gunn has gone out of his way to emphasize this picks up right from Superman.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's great. I think it's cool, and it makes me even more excited for Lanterns and Supergirl and Clayface and whatever else they're going to do.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about the reviews we're getting? They're not just good. They're gushing. They're all gushing. And the one negative one is, it's admirable, but it's patchy. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, are you looking forward to Peacemaker Season 2? I cannot wait for Thursday. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. We still have a couple of other things we're going to talk about here today, including some new casting in the Harry Potter series. I got to say, looks really good, at least visually. And then secondly, remember that Kumail Nanjiani is Booster Gold in DC rumor that was out a while ago? Well, it's back as more people are saying that's what's happening. Do I believe it? We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. What a great time to be a sports fan. Basketball playoffs are on. Hockey playoffs are on. It is the perfect time to jump into the action with PrizePicks, the easiest and most fun way to turn your sports knowledge into real winnings. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made really simple. Just pick more or less on a few player projections, like points, assists, goals, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. For example, this week, I've got Jalen Brunson for more than 24.5 points, or Jason Tatum for more than 6.5 rebounds. I love how fast and easy it is to lock in a lineup in just under a minute. Plus, they've got a couple of weekly features, like, for example, Flex Friday. If your lineup doesn't win, you get your net losses back in promo funds. And every Tuesday, check out Taco Tuesday for discounted player projections up to 25% off. So download the app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CAMPEA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Of course, they are now already shooting and in production of the new HBO Max series, Harry Potter. For those of you who may not know, and I'm sure most of you do, they are basically taking every book in the Harry Potter series and making it not an individual movie like they did before, but making every single book a full season, which of course means the advantage that they're going to be able to go into a lot of stuff that are in the books that never made it into the original movies. And I got to say, well, I am not a Potterhead myself. I have loved just about every piece of news that has come out about this.
Yeah.
Ever since the first time when they announced who the showrunners and the producers were going to be, we're like, oh my God, like they got the best of the best to be in there. And then incredible casts that they've been bringing on. Then we saw our first kind of footage yesterday where we see Nick Frost as Hagrid with little Harry, and I thought that looked great. Well, at least as far as visually looking great, today we get something new. We got the announcement of the cast of Ron's family, the Weasleys, the Weasley siblings. This comes from Deadline saying HBO's Harry Potter series casts more Weasley children. And I just got to say, I don't know if they suck. I don't know if they're going to be terrible in it. I have no idea. I'm just saying it looks great because this looks like they all look related.
Yeah, they really do.
Obviously the twins are actual brothers. But everybody in this picture looks like they actually come from the same family. This is what Deadline wrote. The latest characters to be cast in the upcoming HBO Harry Potter are most of the rest of the Weasley children. The group of mischief makers will be played by Tristan Harland as Fred Weasley, Gabriel Harland, the two twins, as George Weasley, Ruari Spooner as Percy Weasley, and Gracie Cochran as Ginny Weasley, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, she goes on to become Mrs. Harry Potter later on. Her and Harry end up getting married, I believe. At any rate, again, I don't know any of these kids. I don't know any of them. The one kid, the one who's playing Percy, looks like he could be Timothée Chalamet's slightly less attractive younger brother. But this...
Jim Chalamet.
What's that?
Jim Chalamet.
Jim Chalamet. Jim Chalamet, the lesser known of the Chalamets. I just got reprimanded in the live chat for spoiling that Ginny goes on to marry Harry.
They're only in books and movies.
It's only been in books and movies for 30 years. Don't worry about it. But I got to tell you, they so nailed it because, like I said initially, they all actually look related.
Yeah.
They look great. I was telling, I think it was when we were on commercial, I said, this little girl who's playing Ginny looks just adorable. Look at that smile. And then you got the kid who we've already known is playing Ron, and he just looks like he is the troublemaker of the family. I think now let's look at this compared to what the movie version of them look like. I think Jonathan's got a picture of that.
There's that. So that's Percy right there.
Yeah.
You can see him in that picture.
Yeah, on the far right.
Yeah.
So you got them all there. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed the house on the corner when you turn off the one street to come up, they have, I don't think it's on purpose, but they totally have the Weasley's car in their driveway.
I'm going to check it on the way
next
out.
time you go, take a peek, because it's like, it's been there for you. It's like, that's the Weasley car. Anyway,
You're a little aged up here.
that's a great picture of the original cast of them. And now let's go back to the new one here. Yeah, I just think it looks like, now again, we are only commenting on how it visually looks, right? These kids may be terrible performers, might be terrible scripts, show might be terrible, all that kind of stuff. I'm not denouncing any of that. I'm just saying this looks great. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see these images and the new kids they've cast. Where are you at on
Well,
that?
they say that 90% of directing is casting. Well, they did so they talked about how long they looked and how far and wide they looked for the cast for the kids. I would imagine I would assume it's going to be one of the best cast shows of all time, because they really they knew what was interesting. They knew the show. They're going to keep this show on. They're going to pay for the whole thing so they can make sure all the books are adapted. So they took the time and they did it right. I mean, I look at this picture and they even look better than that. This picture, I mean, look at the joy there. You can't not look at that picture and go, wow, that I mean, that alone, that thought. And if they're putting that thought into the casting and they're going to be putting this much thought, I mean, the same thing, Nick Frost as Hagrid. You see the picture we showed the other day?
That was inspired. I love
mean,
that casting.
You just look at that and you're like, that is exactly, this show's got to be firing on all cylinders. We already know the production staff behind it, the writing staff. I mean, this show's going to be, I dare say, John, it would not surprise me if this show far eclipses the movies.
That's a big thing to say.
I know.
Because like the movies have become immortal. I mean, they have literally spawned generations of fans and stuff like that.
I know. I just think something tells me, see, I'm going to be honest. When I saw the first Harry Potter movie, I felt that it was too slavishly devoted to recreating the book. Chris Columbus did a good, I mean, everything was beautiful and it was all, but I felt that the storytelling was too constrained by its slavish devotion to the book itself. So I felt it was a little flat. So I'm really curious to see. I only felt that really about the first film. I didn't feel that about. And when you get to Cuarón's Prisoner of Azkaban, I was like, wow, this is really dope. But I'm really curious to see what this is going to be like.
Well, I mean, to your point, I mean, they have an advantage over the movies. They can tell all the details of the books. They have a lot more room to wiggle. They have a lot more time to really flesh things out and get into things that the movies never had a chance. I mean, that could go badly, but it is an advantage that they have that they could. So again, and I never bet against HBO.
No. No.
It's not like they bat 1,000, but they have a higher batting average than anybody
You don't
else.
bet against HBO and you don't bet against Jimmy C.
That's true. All they need now is to have James Cameron produce this thing, and then they'll be set. They'll be gold. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? We got the Weasley clan now. I think they look great. Will it turn out to be great? Who knows? But I think they look like a wonderful family. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to talk about this, shall we? You guys might remember a number of months, maybe about a year ago, there were some whispers going around about maybe a Kumail Nanjiani as Booster Gold. That kind of came and went. But in the last week or so, those rumors have been bubbling back up again.
I love rumors.
As a number of, scoopers or whatever are actually coming out and saying, oh, he's getting cast as it. And then something happened that has just kind of gotten the fiery discussion about it going even more. The folks over at Comic Book Movie wrote this: Booster Gold speculation once again mounts as the Eternal star Kumail Nanjiani that has joined the DCU. It says this last month we learned that DC Studios has tapped Our Flag Means Death creator David Jenkins to write Booster Gold's pilot, which got everybody excited about that. If co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran are happy with his take on the time-traveling superhero, Jenkins will eventually serve as the showrunner. Booster Gold was announced at the start of 2023 as a part of the DCU's Chapter 1, while rumors have swirled that Eternal star Kumail Nanjiani is being lined up to play the title character. Now, here's the thing. Nexus Point News, I've gotten some things right, gotten some things wrong, but they've gotten some things right. They wrote on their social media, it's happening. But this picture is what's getting a lot of people talking. This was at the Peacemaker Season 2 debut, in which they invited Kumail Nanjiani, who was there, and they got him and James Gunn together. And all that stuff, which just has only fueled it more with other people coming out and saying they believe this is happening and all this kind of stuff. All right. Let's start off by saying that I have no direct information on my end. Sometimes these stories come up and I'll go, I have heard from somebody. But
Yeah.
On this, I've heard nothing from anybody, pro or con, verifying or debunking. I've heard nothing on this. I don't know at all if this is going to be true. No idea. I simply don't. It might be, it might not be. For the sake of discussion, let's assume for a moment that it's true. And Kumail Nanjiani is going to be Booster Gold. Very well may not be, but just for the discussion. I have a couple of thoughts on this. Positive and negative. Let me start with the positive. First of all, Kumail Nanjiani is the main creative force behind and the star of one of my absolute favorite movies of the last 10 years, called The Big Sick. If any of you have not seen The Big Sick, what are you doing? Schedule some time in the next couple of days to set aside time to sit down and watch The Big Sick.
With someone you love.
With someone you love, whether it's a close, tight friend, family member, a romantic involvement, whatever. It is hilarious and deeply moving and powerful. And I just think it's one of the better films made in the last 10 years. And it's got Holly Hunter in it. It's got Ray Romano in it. It's just a great cast. It's a fabulous movie, and Kumail Nanjiani is the main guy behind it. And it's absolutely fabulous. You got to go check it out. Anyway, so I love Kumail Nanjiani, and his stand-up is great. I just watched him again the other night at the late night host who wrote for The Simpsons.
Oh boy,
redhead, the ginger.
Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien getting the Mark Twain Award. I don't know if you guys watched that, but Kumail Nanjiani was one of the guys.
Oh, I didn't know. I love those. Those are great award shows.
And Nanjiani killed it. Like, he was hilarious. But here's the thing about this. If you know the Booster Gold character, personality-wise, Nanjiani is not just a good pick. He's the pick. Like, again, if we're just talking personality-wise, I cannot think of somebody who could manifest that and bring that character to life as good as Kumail Nanjiani. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are others. I'm just saying off the top of my head, like if you're just looking at the personality, who can really bring to life that Booster Gold personality? Kumail Nanjiani's the guy. Sorry, he is. That's just it. Period. End of sentence. He's the guy to do it. And I think he would do a fabulous job bringing that character to life. I also think he's a terrific performer. Again, go see The Big Sick. It'll blow you away. You'll become a Nanjiani fan if you're not already. And as far as ethnicity goes, I don't care. Booster Gold's ethnicity has never been an important part of the character.
And he's
so
from the future.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a different
so who
world.
knows? That's irrelevant. I feel neither pro nor con about anything regarding his ethnicity. Who cares? Here's my negative, though.
Uh-oh.
As much as I like Nanjiani, and I think as a performer, he's the guy who can really manifest that personality of Booster Gold and all that kind of stuff. He is about to turn 48 years old. And while that is still young in many respects in the Hollywood, absolutely it is. But for a brand new cinematic universe, who's somebody, you want to be playing this role potentially for years and years and years and years to come. Nanjiani's he's basically a bodybuilder at this point. He's in ridiculously good shape and all that kind of stuff. But as a guy who is going to be turning 48 here soon, and somebody in Lifestyle say he doesn't look 48. Yeah, but in 3 years, he may very well look 52 or 53. But that's kind of irrelevant. I'm talking about a guy who you can have playing this role. You don't necessarily need a Hugh Jackman who can play the role for 25 years, but maybe a guy who can play it for a dozen years, 13 years, whatever. This is not just the start of a new character. It's the very genesis of a brand new cinematic universe. And I'd like to think that you're going to be bringing in people. Now, granted, they want a Batman who's already older and has a son and has a child. Yeah. You start that one a little bit older. And hey, Booster Gold is supposed to be a washed up former athlete. But the reality is you can be a washed up former athlete at 34 or 35.
Yeah, I was going to say like mid to late 30s.
Yeah, NFL players are retiring at 33 for heaven's sakes. So again, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that Kumail's age disqualifies him. I'm just saying for me and my sensibilities, if you're starting off something, I'm wanting somebody who is mid 30s at most. Just to give yourself a runway to really look, there's no guarantee anybody they cast is going to play the role for more than 3 or 4 years.
Right.
But you at least want to not disqualify the chance that this is a person who could play it 12 years, 14 years, 15 years. And at approaching 48 years old, and let's face it, by the time they shot something, he'd probably be shooting something at 50. I just think he's a little past that mark. That doesn't mean there's not a place for Kumail Nanjiani in the DCU. That doesn't mean there aren't characters he could play and play very well. I just think for somebody like Booster Gold, it may be a bit too late. Am I going to be mad if they announce tomorrow he's going to be playing it? Not at all. But if James Gunn were to give me a call and he said, what do you think about Kumail? I'd say, I think he's awesome. What do you think of him as Booster Gold? Say, if you had asked me that in 2017, I would have said, do it. But I have concerns about it now at his age. Anyway, I don't know, Rob, you hear about this. What would you think about the idea of Kumail Nanjiani playing Booster Gold on the good side and on the negative side?
Well, first of all, I love him as a performer. And like you said, the Big Sick is a great movie. And it really is a heartfelt, and it's based in truth, and it really is a wonderful film. I think he's a wonderful performer. I wanted him to have more to do in Eternals. Actually, look at how we just saw the pictures, how great he looked in Eternals. So there's no doubt that he could play the character. Like, no doubt. I think you have a really good point, though, that look at Hemsworth playing Thor. We're next year, it's what, 15 years since he's played Thor? And
they could have done that if he started playing it at 45.
Right. No, they couldn't have. Could you imagine him, Thor pushing 60? doing those workouts. But I think, look, I think in his case, in the case of the character of Booster Gold, like you said, they could age that character up because he's like a captain of industry. You know, he's a sponsored superhero.
Yeah,
and he might have been his sports career. He might have played football till 35 or something, and then he quit, went into business, and became this big braggadocious superhero with his android skeets, his android drone. You know, so it could happen. I mean, he obviously looks the part. It really depends on how they would translate the character into the universe, at least for me. And I think you have a good point. I mean, might a more youthful mid-30s Booster Gold certainly could work, but they would have to explain the age, and in a way that might be beneficial to the character. I read the first issue of Booster Gold. By the way, I still think Booster Gold is one of the dumbest names in comic book history. I just want to go on record as saying that. But I did like the comic. I have the first issue, and I fall down, John, on the side of liking this idea, because I think he's perfect to play the character. And if you even wanted to up his Indian nature, like maybe like I would say that could benefit the character too, that he's from a very wealthy Indian family, and he's a global, not influencer, but a global businessman from the future that he's from. Although he is kind of a con artist too. So I think him playing the role, I just would love to see him do it. But I understand your doubts. But man, I think he would make a good, at least a wildly entertaining version of the character.
Yeah. I listen, again, that's why I wouldn't be mad tomorrow if they announced him. But I want to put this in context a little bit, okay? I can't remember how old David Cornsweet is. I believe he's in his early to mid 30s. So he's young. Isabella Marcet is hot girl.
He's 32.
He's 32. So perfect. Isabella Marcet is hot girl, very young, and she's kind of taken over the world right now. Brilliant casting. She can bleed for a long time. But when I look at the rest of James Gunn's DCU right now, Eddie Gathegi, who is amazing as Mr. Terrific, he's 46. John Cena, who is Peacemaker, is 48.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Fillion, who is Guy Gardner, if I'm not mistaken, is 54. And I have no problem with any the guy who's playing our Green Lantern,
Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler,
Jordan's older.
Who's playing Hal Jordan? He's 59. Now, as far as our core Justice League guys, well, the only core Justice League member we have right now is Superman, mid-30s. Is great. But I just feel like, okay, now if we're going to go and cast Booster Gold, are we going to get a guy who's 48 too? And like literally, we've got a very veteran team here. I think they need to start bringing in some younger blood in this.
I think it's a really, really good point, and I absolutely think that the Justice League should be around Superman's age. I've always, in my own mind, as a comic reader, of course, you have immortal characters and older characters and things like that, but I always kind of thought of the Justice League as being in the same high school graduating class,
right?
You know, like even though they weren't, but they kind of were. And of course, you know, Wonder Woman being thousands of years old or whatever, but she's really like the same age as Superman. So the core team, like I'm looking forward to seeing a 32-year-old Batman.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need a 40 or 45-year-old. We don't need a Batman that's close to the Dark Knight. I want to see a young, virile, ass-kicking
but old
Batman.
enough to have a tween son.
Yeah. Like
I feel like he still also has to be believable that he's the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
I don't
25-year-old person is not the world's greatest detective.
That's why I said I don't mind the idea of Batman being like late 30s, low 40s because of who they're saying Batman already is in this universe.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Batman is whoever you get to play him can evolve into the Dark Knight Returns kind of Batman.
Right. And the difference is that we know that superheroes have been around for a long time.
Yeah, in this world.
So they're not, there's the Justice Society has probably been there. And so that's no problem. I mean, Batman could have been operational way before Superman was, and the world knows Batman. I mean, I think it'll all work out.
So look, now bottom line. bottom line, I talked about why I would like the idea of Nanjiani's Booster Gold, why I wouldn't like the idea of Nanjiani's Booster Gold. Do I think this is going to be true? I don't. I mean, I get it. That picture of him at the Peacemaker season 2, where there's smoke, there's fire. I get that. And listen, I wouldn't doubt at all that Nanjiani is going to be in the DCU in some way. I just don't think he's going to be Booster Gold. I really don't. I know they've got an idea for Booster Gold, all that kind of stuff, but I just don't think he's going to be him. At the end of the day, Rob, do you think Nanjiani's going to be Booster Gold?
I think it's a possibility. I think it's probably lesser of a possibility that he's going to be Booster Gold than he is going to be Booster Gold. But I can see why that rumor has arisen.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Those whispers and rumors and reports of Kumail Nanjiani's Booster Gold have resurfaced again, a little bit louder than before. I think it could be good. But I also have some reasons why I don't think it should happen. I also don't think it will happen, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's actually going to end up being true? And let's for a second assume that it is. Would you like the idea? If so, why? Would you not like the idea? If so, why? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, sir.
Thank you, sir. And a good afternoon to all of you.
We will see you again tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, let's get on over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, Garden Variety says, talking Harley Quinn, it's just nice to know that there's a Harley Quinn in this universe, thanks to the iconic Kevin Smith for producing his own Harley Quinn. Smith.
That's right. For those of you who don't know, Kevin Smith named his daughter Harley Quinn Smith. He said, and that was not a coincidence. He named it because he's a big fan of the character. Named that. Listen, I know it's not what you're talking about, but I really do love Kevin Smith. It's not that I love every single one of his movies. I don't love every single one of his movies. But just as a personality in this business, he's one of the best. He just is. Like, I can watch him just tell stories about the industry forever, and I do really like his sensibilities. Again, he's made some movies I don't like. That's fine, but I just really love the dude. I just think he's a great personality to have in this business. All right, what's next?
We got Mustang Racer. Hi, John. I saw your post from your meet and greet. Wish I could have been there, but I think it shows the impact your show has for people. We need positive voices like yours to keep people lifted up. People like you shine a light through the darkness.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. And here's the thing. I really don't think I'm some big ray of sunshine. I don't think I'm like this overly not Smithers, sorry. Who's the next door neighbor to the Simpsons?
Oh yeah, Heidi Ho,
Flanders,
neighbor
Flanders.
Flanders. Yeah.
I don't think I'm a Flanders of the movie space by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't think the problem, like I said, the problem with the online world and stuff like that is the thing that gets the most clicks. And I know this is true because I've seen it on my own YouTube channel and it depresses me. The things that get the most clicks is hate stuff. Hate stuff gets the most clicks. And so you see a lot of blogs, podcasts, YouTube channels where you go and every single thing on the front page is this sucks. These people are terrible. We hate this. You should hate this. This person's this, everything is negative because hate gets clicks. So there's a very legitimate draw there to whore yourself out to just make a lot of hate content. I get it. And I just think I don't do that. And by comparison, it makes it look like I'm some ray of sunshine. I'm really not a big ray of sunshine, but listen, it comes down to this. It's been this way ever since I made the movie blog. I'm a fan and I enjoy talking about things. I much rather talk about things that I love. Of course, there are things I don't like. Of course, there are topics that get me riled up. And of course, there are things that I don't think are great. And those come up on our channel. But for the most part, I just rather talk about the things I love. Life is short. Why would I want to spend, I'll bring up a movie I don't like and say I don't like it. But why would I want to talk about it 25 more times? Why would I want to make 30 more topics about something I don't like? Just focus. I like to focus on things that make me happy. I like to focus on the things that bring us joy. And when something comes out that's bad, we say it's bad. And then we move on to talk about the things that give us joy. It doesn't seem like all that complicated of a formula to me, but again, I get it, because those things, those more cancerous kind of things, those do get clicked. They do. I don't deny it. It really does. But I just like talking about things I love rather than things I don't love. Anyway. All right. What's next?
We got Sino, who says, dang, I saw your post and I have my kids the same day you were going to be in SLC on the 13th. So I'll miss seeing you in person. Interestingly enough, Megaplex shows a movie montage of old and new updated clips during the trailers. I love seeing it.
That's
cool.
interesting. I have never heard of this movie theater chain, Megaplex. It's, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like the name of a fictional movie theater chain in a TV show.
Yeah.
We're going to, well, let's meet at the Megaplex. But I've never heard of this chain before. Then again, I've never been to Utah before. I don't think I've ever been to Utah. So, but I mean, it looks really good, and I'm excited for the Lord of the Rings screening there. All right, what's next?
Make sure you hit some national parks as you go through these states too, even as a drive-through.
Yeah.
Frank, just saw F1 for the third time. Between that and Dune 2, Javier Bardem has become one of my new favorite actors. Even when delivering simple lines, I find myself blown away by his performance and screen presence. He just has a presence that pops off the screen.
He does.
Can't wait to see what he brings to Dune 3.
I mean, really, for everybody in the world, he obviously burst on the scene with No Country for Old Men, for which he won an Academy Award.
Friendo.
But in everything he does, he's remarkable. He's just truly one of the finest actors we have in the world. And he's incredibly great presence. And I think one of the most male or female, one of the purely most physically attractive human beings on the face of the earth. I know I've told the story before, just quickly. I remember the first time I met him, it was at an after party for the premiere of Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
That he did with Scarlett Johansson and I can't remember who else is in the film. Anyway, Rebecca Hall, and I'm freezing on who the other woman was in it. It was Rebecca Hall, Scarlett Johansson, and anyway. So,
Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz, thank you. So I remember he comes up to shake my hand. And first of all, he's bigger than you think he is. He's a big guy. But he comes to shake my hand, and I was just like, you ever see something, whether it's like a mountain or a tree or something really remarkable, and you're just kind of dumbfounded for a second? Like, this dude is so good looking, I was just kind of stunned for a moment. Like, what? Like, it's just so, it's so, I mean, fuck that guy. It's so infuriating when you see other guys who are so much better looking than you are. But anyway, yeah. But a remarkable talent. He's incredible. Anyway, what's next?
Yeah. Some people, you feel like the light follows them when they go into a room. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
David, for Avengers Doomsday, do you think we will get a scene with the Council of Nerds? Shuri, Reed, Richards, and Bruce. It would be fun to see Reed's reaction to Wakanda and Vibranium.
I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, it's an Avengers movie. At any moment, all you got to do is look at the on your left scene in Endgame to know at any moment they can put any combination of characters together for something. So they could do it, I suppose.
I think what would be a nice callback, because Bruce Banner had worked with Tony Stark.
Yep.
And seeing that this person is basically an evil version of Tony Stark, and he'll never get that back with Tony, we feel.
Yeah, maybe.
He could have a moment of like working with Reed's, like, this is kind of nice. It reminds me of old times. You know what I mean? But something like that.
So, I mean, might happen, might not. I'm be honest with you. I don't really care all that much, and I'm not going to give too much thought to it. All right, what's next?
Michael from Sweden. The Martian made $630.6 million on a budget of 108. Project Hail Mary seems to have the same budget. Andy Weir has made 3 books. So how much do you think Hail Mary needs to make to guarantee a movie version of Artemis, a thriller about a heist on the moon?
Well, it'll have nothing to do with it. It'll have nothing to do with it. This had more of a thing to do with Lord and Miller had a vision for it and really pitched it. But they're like, no matter what it does, they're not going to just go, oh, well, if it did this, then this other book that the author of the original book, it really won't be. There's nobody, I don't think anybody in the White Towers of any studio is going to really make that a deciding factor. I think they're going to look at what filmmakers are involved, who has a vision for it, and whatever. If they make a great pitch, just like anything else it does. So I really don't think it's going to have anything to do with it.
I feel like gone are the day. That was an era, especially of the 90s, where Michael Crichton and someone like John Grisham, it's like, oh, well, we got these John Grisham movies coming out. We got these Michael Crichton movies coming out. It followed that, you just expected all of them to get done. No, I don't think people watch these and go, oh, these Andy Weir films, they got to get done. They think of Matt Damon. They think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like to your point too, what was that that movie they made based on the Michael Crichton book about the apes in the caves of gold?
Congo.
Was that Congo? Yeah. That's a great example that formula just doesn't work. That's not a formula that works. By the way, somebody in the live chat is saying, oh, they don't think Project Hail Mary is going to make that much. I think you're wrong. I just finished the book. If Lord and Miller nail this, this is a movie that is going to thrill, delight, make people cry, and this is a truly 4-quadrant movie that could appeal to absolutely everybody. This movie could be very big. I'm not saying a $2 billion film. Don't get me wrong, but I think this movie is going to be a big hit. Because I have no reason to believe Lord Miller won't deliver. And the source material is absolutely remarkable. And I think this movie is going to be a lot bigger than people think.
There you go.
Again, I'm not necessarily guaranteeing the $1 billion club, but I mean, it's going to be big.
This movie, it didn't skip leg day. It's got the quads.
No, they did not.
It's got the quads.
All right, what's next?
Matt Yellow, yes. Do you think Alan Ritchson would be a great Booster Gold? He did play Thad Kessel in Blue Mountain State, which may make him great for his imposter syndrome and comedy. Has the look as well. Nanjiani is still a good pick.
No, I don't see him as a Booster Gold.
Alan isn't much. What's his age?
Yeah, he's not much younger than
No,
he's
42,
younger.
so he's a little
he's
younger.
About 5 years younger or whatever than Nanjiani.
Because you brought up a good point with the lead time on the film. The 36, 37 would be much probably better because you got a lead time. Then he's 39.
Yeah,
30,
and again, look, 42. Yeah, what I mean, it is 5 years younger, but that's not the issue for me. The issue, I just don't think Alan Ritchson's the right fit for that. I really don't. I could see him as a couple of characters specifically. I just don't see him as Booster Gold myself. That doesn't mean that I'm right. I mean, maybe he would be a great Booster Gold. I'm just saying, you're asking me if I could really see it. Yeah, right. I don't really see it. All right, what's next?
We got one more of the tips, but we got some member questions too. Top Gun Manny. Yesterday marked 30 years since the release of the movie with the greatest soundtrack ever made. That was 30 years ago. Mortal Kombat released August 18, 1995. My God.
I'll be honest with you.
Does that feel like 30 to you?
It feels like it was longer. Because, like, I feel like I was a teenager when I saw that.
I mean, I definitely
Clearly
was.
not.
I was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that one's 30 years old. It is, I think, the best soundtrack ever to, and not that it's not the best score to a movie ever. It is my all-time favorite soundtrack.
I saw that movie in the Chinese theater, and it was so loud. My friend and I just were laughing because the music was so loud.
I saw it at the Famous Players at the Center Mall in Hamilton, Ontario. I don't think that movie theater is there anymore, but that's where I saw it. And I just remember every song on that soundtrack thumped. Every Duhas, Juke Joint, Jezebel, the Mortal Kombat anthem, like every single song on that soundtrack absolutely thumped. It's such a great, to this day, I can listen to it. I totally still listen to it every once in a while. I love that soundtrack. The movie isn't so great, even though I love it. It's one of those things where I love the movie, but I totally acknowledge it's really not good. But yeah, oh man, I love that. Love that movie.
Du
Anyway.
hast.
Du hast. All right, what's next?
All right, we got some members here. Joe Howland. Hey, John and crew. Hope your day is going great with your travels in your van. Will you be stopping in Kansas on your travels? Love you guys and love you guys and all you do.
100%. 100% we'll be hitting Kansas.
Yeah.
So right now we're just getting ready to do the close circuit, right? The close circuit, relatively speaking, we're doing Albuquerque, we're going to do Denver, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas. So like just kind of working. So we did one by itself in the Phoenix area. We're going to do another standalone one with San Diego this week. Then we're going to do the Little Loop. I think the one after that is going to be Pacific Coast. So now this is not an announcement. I'm just saying, I think the one after we do this Albuquerque, Denver, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas tour is probably maybe a month after that. We're going to do cities like Sacramento, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, like kind of making our way up the Pacific Coast.
What a great drive. What a great drive.
Beautiful drive. And maybe even make our way into Vancouver, depending on what the political temperature is at the time. Now, after that is done, then we're going to be eyeing moving east and getting to like such great places as Austin, other places in Texas, whether it's Dallas or Houston, Nashville, Kansas, places like that. Now, here's the thing. Anne, I think it was Anne brought it up to me. But if we do Kansas, now, of course, Kansas is the headquarters of AMC Theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have to go out there a couple times every year because I worked with AMC. The execs would bring me out to the headquarters and whatever. The question is, if we go to Kansas, and I'm sure we will
they let you in?
do I go to an AMC theater there? And if so, do we invite Adam Aaron to come?
I hope he hasn't seen your videos.
Oh, I hope he has. I know he has. Actually, yes, I do know for a fact that he has. Maybe we invite Adam Aaron to go. I don't know. You know what? To be fair, and listen, I'm not going to be disingenuous. I think Adam Aaron is a terrible CEO. You guys know how strongly I feel about that. But to be fair, I've spoken to some people who have like actually worked with him and stuff like that. To be fair, I've heard he's actually a very nice guy. I've heard he's actually a very personable and very nice guy. Now, I don't know him personally. I can't vouch for that. I'm just saying, you guys know how I feel about him at his job. I don't think he's good at his job at all. But I have heard from some people that he's actually a very nice person. That doesn't help the business, but I'm just saying, if I'm going to say the negative, I also have to say when I hear the positive, and I've heard he's a very nice guy. Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, Top Gun Manny says, just watched Sketch yesterday. What a delightful film. A dad and his two kids struggle to navigate the grief of losing a family member. In letting out her frustration, the little girl draws out her negative emotions in a notebook, and the notebook falls into a magical pond, bringing the monsters to life. Like Bridge to Terabithia. Now, now the family must unite and find a way to save the town while finding themselves bonding over grief. It has tons of heart and surprisingly very funny. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I remember they did a presentation for it at CinemaCon. I'll be honest, I didn't think it looked very good, to be honest with you. I have no interest in it. I'm probably not going to see it. But I have heard it's actually quite good. I've heard from several people that actually really enjoyed it. Again, it just doesn't look like it's a movie for me, and that's perfectly fair. No movie is for everybody. But yeah, I've heard actually some people say some pretty good things about it. All right, what's next?
We got Guzman. Whoops, cut him off. Guzman says, just want to say thanks to whoever gifted me memberships. Feels cool to be part of the crew.
Yeah, I saw.
We had 5 more today.
Yeah, more. I saw that during while we were talking about a topic. It's awesome when people like gift a membership. That's awesome.
I think it's like 40, 45 gifts in this week.
All right, what's next?
King Daddy Goat. Hey, crew, hope all is well. So are we thinking maybe Booster Gold is the big cameo James Gunn is talking about, or do you think he means someone more well-known to the general audience?
You can't say a big, like a really, really, really big cameo and have it be a character most people have never heard of.
Right.
Like that, you can't do that. Like, remember, the last time James Gunn did that at the end of Peacemaker Season 1, it was the freaking Justice League. That's a really, really, really big cameo. And if you're saying this, it can't just suddenly out of nowhere be a character that literally 90% of the audience would be, who's that? Like, that doesn't qualify as a really, really, really big cameo. So no, I don't think it's going to be Booster Gold. Not that Booster Gold couldn't cameo in the show, but that's not going to be whatever James Gunn is referring to as his really, really, really big cameo. That's going to be somebody much bigger.
It's going to be Zoolander.
All right, what's next?
We got Back Fandango says, do you think a Michael Bay made Transformers movie has any shot at recapturing the box office success of the first couple? Wish we weren't here again, but the good ones failed.
No. Remember, like, they ultimately finally moved away from Michael Bay when he put out that horrible Last Night. What was it called? The Last Night?
I believe so.
Let me see if I can find it here. That was the one where the audience finally said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3, 4, 5 times, then I'm an idiot. Then they finally realized. Now listen, Transformers Last Night still made $600 million. But I mean, that represented almost a 50% drop from its previous one. People were just finally like, I feel like they coasted on the decency of the first film for like 3 films after that. And then finally the audience just went, nah, I don't understand anybody's logic in thinking going back to Michael Bay on this. And remember, I'm a Michael Bay defender. If you guys watch my show for any period of time, you know I'm a pro Michael Bay guy. I'm just not pro Michael Bay with Transformers. And I don't know why anybody would think this is a good idea. Like, I really don't. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Jude Lehman says hello to you both, John and Jonathan. Hope both of you had a great morning so far. Please, Mr. Voico, answer 2. What are your top 3 favorite live-action Spider-Man films?
I don't do lists.
Yeah, the tops, but Spider-Man 2, he says, No Way Home for him, and Amazing Spider. I did not like Amazing Spider-Man 2. I could tell you that much. The second one with.
Oh yeah, I really like the first one.
Yes.
The second one, I didn't hate the second one, but it's not so great. I mean, again, for me, I won't do lists, but I will tell you what I think the best live action Spider-Man movie is. The best live action Spider-Man movie is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Now, I say that as somebody who loves the John Watts Spider-Man films, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. I love those films. But I think Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, that's just the best one. The best live action. But I think the 2 best Spider-Man movies, period, are Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. I think those are de facto live action or animated or whatever. I think those are the 2 best Spider-Man movies. And here's the funny thing. As much as everybody sometimes craps on Sony, they alone have made the 3 best Spider-Man movies. Not Marvel. And Marvel's done a great job with them. They have. I really like their Spider, but the 3 best Spider-Man movies are all Sony movies. Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got, how would you compare Nobody 2 to Accountant 2? Which was better?
Accountant 2 was better.
Yeah, it's still crazy to me that these films exist. Had great originals, but no one saw, and we never thought we'd get sequels, let alone have them released in theaters.
Yeah, overall, Accountant 2 is definitely the better movie than Nobody 2. But again, Nobody 2 is a lot of fun. I mean, the thing about Accountant had more elements, a whole bunch of elements go into making a movie. And Accountant 2 just had more elements that were really good. Nobody 2 doesn't have a lot of elements that are good. But the elements they have that are good are real good. Like, it's just a bonkers action and violence. Accountant 2 has that as well, but it has better characters, better story, better dialogue, all that kind of stuff. It's just a better overall film. But if you have not seen Nobody 2, and most of you haven't because it's really struggling at the box office, as we all knew it would, go check it out. It's a fun time. Make sure you go check it out. But yeah, I definitely think Accountant 2 is the better film. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Callum who says, "Hey John, your buddy Nigel McGuinness is wrestling this weekend in London. Will you be watching? I'll be there in the arena cheering him on. He was one of my favorite wrestlers in ROH."
Yeah, it's funny because we had a bunch of friends over for one of our friends' birthday the other night, and we realized, oh, Nigel's actually wrestling. Now, Nigel mostly does color commentary for AEW, but he's been wrestling a little bit more again lately, and he was like the main event on the show, so we made sure we popped it on, and he won his main event. Now he's going to be wrestling at this big thing again in England. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching him in England. Actually, let me see if I can find this picture. I want to bring it up and show it to you. But we went to go see Nigel recently wrestle in, I want to say Anaheim. So of course, one of Anne's best friends is Kaori. So you can bring this up. And so Anne made a sign for her and Kaori to have called Nigel is Magic. And the reason, this was just a few weeks ago, and the reason Anne made a sign called Nigel is Magic is because Nigel, for those of you who are fans of Nigel McGuinness, Nigel is also a magician. He actually travels around and does like magic shows, and he's really quite good. He's really good. But yes, I will not be going to London. Here's the funny thing. Last year when he wrestled in London, Anne went over with Kaori to go watch Nigel wrestle in London. But no, we will not be traveling to London, but I will definitely be watching his match. All right, what's next?
All right, here's our final one from Chuck. Is there a chance DC Studios will move the release date of Supergirl from June to May? I mean, I don't.
Why would they?
Yeah, I mean, then you're just wrestling with Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, oddly enough, the Taika Waititi Star Wars film is still scheduled for the same day as
well, we know that isn't happening.
I mean, June has, the only thing I see June is going up against is Toy Story 5, but they're a week apart.
Yeah, I mean, look, could it move? Of course, any movie could move. So is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Not likely. Like, here's the thing. The reason 98% of movies never change their release dates is because a lot of thought and strategy goes into setting their release date in the first place. So yeah, a couple times a year we hear about movies changing their release dates. But again, that's like 98% of the time they don't. So is it possible? 100% it's possible. But is it likely? And I'd say it's pretty unlikely that they're going to move it. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved here with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Big special thanks again, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.